The focus of today's video is on exercise. And we know that exercise may be the most powerful medicine known to man because it will influence every tissue and every system in the body. To make exercise sustainable and safe, we must respect the limitations imposed by those same tissues and systems. We take great care in controlling the mechanical forces that dissipate through the skeletal system during exercise, and we do that by either having the person in less than full weight bearing, so we have minimized the compression forces, or when possible to have a decompressive force associated with the exercise so that there's an unloading of the joint surfaces and of the disc while the exercise is performed. We try to align the muscles and tendons to have the best function possible and minimize the wear and tear on the tendinous structures during the exercise. The first exercise that we'll do will be to place the ball on the participant's abdomen. You'll notice that the head and neck are in a good position, shoulders, elbows, forearms are all in a mid-range. Low back is stable and protected. The thigh torsal angle is about 130 degrees, which allows the least amount of stress on the lumbar, hip, nerve structures in the low back. Knees are bent, feet are in slight plantar flexion, so all of the structures of the body are positioned in a good position. This affords the patient total control over the vigor of the exercise. And that is important because if the stress of the exercise exceed the threshold of any of the tissues or systems, there will be breakdown that will occur and the exercise will be unsustainable. And that includes the patient's fear factor or musculoskeletal problems or cardiovascular or pulmonary issues. The exercise here, she will compress the ball between her hands and her thighs, and she will be able to grade the vigor of the exercise, how hard she pushes, how long she holds it, how many times she repeats it, so it will be appropriate for her to introduce the challenge of the exercise, but well within the threshold of her tissues. As she knows it is safe, she can apply a significant amount of pressure on the ball and really get work on her chest, arms, stomach, and back muscles as she's performing the exercise. But again, she will have total control. As she compresses the ball between her hands and her thighs, there'll be a decompressive force in her spine. So there'll be an unloading of the disc, opening up the holes that the nerves live in, enhancing circulation in those critical tissues down there. All positives with the exercise. Second exercise that she will perform is she's going to hold the ball at the equator so that the ball is elevated up off of her chest slightly. Again, all of her structures, joints, muscles, nerves, all in a good position. She will compress the ball as if it's her best friend's head. Just kidding. And in the process, she'll even try to get her finger, her grip muscles involved. So there is a large contraction of wrist and finger flexors, biceps, shoulder adductors as she works. She can hold it for as little or as long as she feels is appropriate. She can generate the amount of force to any level that she feels is appropriate. She'll have total control of the exercise. Again, a nice way of introducing work in the upper extremities. To continue, we will have her hold the belt, upper extremities in the same loose pack position. She will grip the belt and start to stretch the belt apart with an external rotation force to really stimulate forearm muscles, shoulder abductors, external rotators, interscapular muscles, muscles that will extend up into her neck, down into her thoracic cage. Again, applying the appropriate force, appropriate number of repetitions, so that the tissues are challenged within their ability to recover and have the exercise be productive in the long run. Switching to the lower extremities, we'll have her start with a bolster between her knees. Again, we've got her positioned so that her thigh dorsal angle is around 130 degrees. Easy to control the position in her low back. If she needs to fine-tune the position in her low back by poking her tailbone into the table so her back arches into a little extension, or by tucking her tail underneath her so her back flattens into flexion to find the ultimate asymptomatic kind position for her low back. That would be part of the exercise. She's going to notice where her thoracic cage, low back, and pelvis are either touching or not touching the table when her back is the most comfortable. And then she will squeeze the bolster between her knees and squeeze her buttocks, trying not to alter the position between her thigh, pelvis, and lumbar spine, so she gets a co-contraction, isometric contraction of critical muscles, minimal stress on the joint structures and the disc. To work the opposite set of muscles, she will take her belt and she will lasso it around her knees. Feet will be about shoulder width apart. She can push out against the belt, tightening her buttocks as she does to work her hip abductors, external rotators as she goes. If she does this and curls her toes and digs her ball of her foot into the floor at the same time, she stimulates that whole posterior chain and gives that magic combination of hip extension, abduction, external rotation, again with total safety to her skeletal system. The belt wants to be low enough on her knees that when she pushes, she doesn't feel that it will slide off the knees, so she can push as much as is appropriate for her at this point. So you can see that she had a common problem where when she pushes out against the belt slides up the knees and it's very distracting, hard to do the exercise. And it's a common problem when people have their feet a little wider than their knees. So the fix is going to be to bring the feet closer together so that the legs form a funnel and the belt will have trouble working its way up the wide part of the funnel. Solves the problem, and it does make the exercise better because we're interested in not just the hip abductors, but the hip abductors, external rotators. So when there's an arcing motion, as if the person's going to bring their knees towards the floor, it kicks in those deep external rotators that really give the hip and the back terrific support. So really a better way of doing the exercise. So as you're doing this, if it seems like the belt is sliding up your thighs, easy fix, either make the belt a little bit wider so your knees can be wider than your feet, or just cheat your feet in more so you're pushing out and down against the belt, as she'll demonstrate here. She can push as hard as she wants, the belt can't slide up. Easy solution to the problem. Okay, the next exercise in the series is to place a soccer ball or 6-inch foam roll underneath the distal part of the thigh, just above where the knee bends. The other leg will remain in this hook-lying position to preserve the about 130 degrees of thigh dorsal angle to protect the low back, hip, sciatic nerve structures. The exercise will be performed as she glues her thigh to the bolster, and then she straightens her knee and tenses the thigh muscle as much as possible, squeezing the buttocks on that side. She'll find that if she has slight external rotation, it will facilitate the irradiation of muscles from the hip extensors, abductors, external rotators that are so important in the lower extremity chain. She can play with the action of her foot. Sometimes people find if they pull the toes up, it allows them to get more aggressive knee extension, better contraction of the quads. Sometimes people find if they point the toes down, it gives them better action in that extensor pattern. Either one is fine and could be good to do it both ways to train that neuromotor system thoroughly. Next exercise will be for the muscles in the back of the leg. She is going to fix her feet to the table, curl her toes, grab the table slightly, and then act as if she's going to drag her feet towards her pelvis. It will be an isometric contraction, so the friction between her feet and the surface that she's on will prevent her feet from sliding. Very nice contraction of the calf, hamstrings, back muscles, and the back again will get a little bit of this magic decompression that It seems so helpful for patients that are trying to nurture their low back and prevent disc problems from occurring. Again, total control of the vigor of the exercise, number of repetitions. The last exercise, and what is known as the initial 8, is the patient has to come to standing. They can stand at the corner of the kitchen counter if the height is appropriate for them. It is easy when people have a walker because we can adjust the height of the walker. You'd like to have it so that when they straighten their elbows and push down, they can get shoulder girdle depression. As they do, it'll provide the greatest muscle action and the least amount of fatigue in the upper extremities. So she will stand in the walker, feet about shoulder width apart, knees straight. She's going to apply a decompressive force on the walker so that it should enhance the comfort of her low back. If she pushes down enough and the decompression that occurs in the low back is irritating, then she will push less. Or she will find that if she uses the walker as a perch and tries to pinch her arms into her side, she will get the same beneficial effect in her chest, shoulder girdle, arm, trunk muscles as decompressing. But again, many low backs like it when you take the weight off of them. So she will push down on the walker, she will straighten her knees, she will tighten her thighs and squeeze her buttocks. She'll hold it for the appropriate amount of time for her. She'll let it relax, and she will repeat. So again, there's going to be a decompressive force on the back. It is very important that this exercise is added to the other initial 8 exercises when appropriate, because it's very hard to get the gluteals to work well when the hip is bent. All the hook lying exercises are done with considerable flexion in the hip to preserve optimal position. But again, we need to have the lower extremity chain, gluteals, quads, calf muscles work well. This is a great way of initiating that. She'll find that when she tightens her thighs and squeezes her buttocks, if she grabs the floor with her toes, put an arch in her feet and tries to turn her kneecaps out, then she will get more action in the deep muscles in her gluteals because they are extensors, abductors, external rotators, and you want to elicit again the largest contraction possible. When you're doing these pretty isolated exercises, it is a great time for patients to build their proprioception. It allows them to feel the muscle build the contraction, feel the muscle relax. It allows them to feel, are their joints, are their structures in an optimal position where there's no increase in symptoms as they perform the exercise. Is the exercise constructive, or is it a little bit too vigorous for them at the time? We know that the neuroscience people would tell us that a lot of people's discomfort comes from an injury that interferes with the person's body sense in that location of the body. And by paying attention to the feel of the muscles contract, feel the muscles relax, then you clear up your body sense or your proprioception and should eliminate one source of people's discomfort. We again call those the initial 8 exercise. You'll notice that they exercise every major muscle group in the body in a very safe way. We are always pleasantly surprised how often people come back and say, they seem so benign. I was laying on my back, but I was shocked at how much more solid I feel after doing this for a couple weeks, because it really is the way to build strength is just to get the muscles to contract. For it to be sustainable, it has to be done where you're protecting the passive structure of the body and respecting the limitations imposed by all of your tissues and systems.